Hey gearheads, my name's Eric and this is a GT Garage Talk review of this 2019 Acura TLX A-Spec with the tech package, red leather interior, and V6. But let's jump to the meat and potatoes of this. I'm gonna take y'all around the walk around on the outside, show all the lighting, the badging, the wheels, the tires, the interior, some of the gizmos, gadgets, and hookups. And then we're gonna do a driving test and show y'all the throttle response of this spectacular naturally aspirated V6 that runs on 93 octane, pushing 290 horsepower.
Hey gearheads, do us a favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any future content from us. And you help us keep driving crazy cars like this one. While you're at it, go find us on Facebook and Instagram to check out some behind the scenes stuff and see what we're driving next. You can also head over to gtgaragetalk.com, listen to our podcast where we interview people from throughout the automotive industry and some people with some pretty fun automotive backgrounds.
So let's start with the exterior walk around to show off the lights. The flickering is due to the shutter speed on the camera, not the actual running lights flickering, but they are this amber color. You do have the multi-piece headlights. They're called jewel headlights. You have some nice details on the inside of the headlights. The rest of the interior of the housing is blacked out. The chrome around the nose of the badging right here is this dark smoked chrome, not actually polished metallic, and it matches the gray plastic nose portion of the grille. A-Spec specific front bumper, rear bumper will be A-Spec specific as well, and the wheels are A-Spec specific. It's this high metallic gray, looks really good. You got your badging, and look at the metal flake. Look at the metal flake on this car. Gorgeous. Tons of metal flake. This is a true pearl white color. So let's keep walking around. You do have some LED fog lights down there. These are the factory tires, although I've been giving her the beans a little more than I probably should, so they're starting to go down, but they are some Michelins, so you do get good tires from the factory. Again, look at the metal flake. Beautiful. So let's roll around to the interior. This is a A-Spec specific color. It's the red. You get some red inserts over here. This is all soft touch. This is soft touch. This up here is soft touch. And the rest of the trim pieces are either going to be black or there's a brushed aluminum look. You have an incredibly minimal amount of gloss black in here, which I love. Seats are red, very comfortable, really well bolstered, but they're not so deep of buckets on the bucket seats that they kind of push your shoulders forward and get uncomfortable. Center console, very nice and smooth. This is nice and squishy, and I lean on this quite a bit, and I'm not getting any divots or looseness on the covering. Again, you get your brushed aluminum, not glossy. The only gloss is going to be this set of buttons right here, the center enter button, and a little bitty piece of gloss black on the volume. You do have dual screens, which we'll see on the driving portion. I'll crank it up shortly. So let's come around. I'm gonna just show y'all the pearl one more time. Look at it. Gorgeous, love it. Back here, complimentary box of tissues. No, not really. It's allergy season, guys. It's pretty bad. You can see the speakers. Rear seats are matching. Not only is the red the same color and texture and exact same leather as the front, but even get the same black trim accent stitching and piping that you do on the front. Center, no charger, but you do have a little tray, a couple cup holders. Back here you have an on and off switch for your air conditioning vents, but no actual temperature controls. It just feeds off of whatever the front's doing. So now, let's walk around to the back. The A-Spec, I think a couple of the other models, but the A-Spec also has this molding along the side skirt here. And then you have your black interior smoked. This is a smoked tail light from the factory. So you still get all the proper legally required amount of lighting that's coming off of the rear, but LED tail lights, turn signals, and brake lights. It looks fantastic. A-Spec specific rear with the dual exhaust exit, and this is a true dual exhaust exit. However, the chrome on the outside here is just for show. It's holding up to the heat really well. It does feel metallic, not plastic, so it's not melting on me. And you do get a little bit of a somewhat functional diffuser. The reason this is going to be actually functional is because if you get up underneath of the vehicle, you'll see that it has a pretty smooth belly. By that I mean there's portions of plastic and metals underneath of the vehicle to help smooth out the airflow and give it a nice smooth underside. You also have this trunk lid spoiler, nice and smooth, comes from the factory like that. That's another little A-Spec piece. And of course you have your A-Spec badging right there. You have parking sensors. Let's come around here and we'll crank her up after we look at that pearl one more time. Look at her. Okay, so let's hop in here. She's making noise because all my lights are on. Alrighty. Okay, so you have two screens. One is going to be your main controls, and then this one up here, when it tells me I have to be safe while I'm driving, it can be multiple different things. So this is not touchscreen up here, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay if you're plugged in through the USB. Otherwise it'll be navigation or a clock or something like that. This down here is your touchscreen controls. You have your radio, you have your heated and ventilated seat options. You can change your air conditioning configuration through here. And you also have some hard buttons for your AC as well. It does have a CD player. I haven't played a CD in it. I just hook up the Apple CarPlay. This port right here can be covered. I do have a USB in it. This is my car, so my USB is plugged in. It is matching because, you know, that's just how you got a red interior, you're gonna match it with the cables, right? This pushes back and shows a wireless Qi charger that is rubber coated. It won't be sliding around all over the place. Your phone won't be while you're out, you know, getting groceries or slinging around corners or whatever. You have your single USB port right in there, and you have a 12-volt power right there. Your shift knobs. So I don't dislike it for, you know, Sunday driving, these push buttons, but as far as a sporty experience, I'm not a push button kind of guy. I'd rather just have a shifter, but that's what they have. You have brake hold, brake assist. That's an electronic e-brake. Inside of here is going to be your auxiliary, as well as another 12-volt and a USB charger in there. There's no secret cubbies inside of these areas. That's all filled in, and you have a little bit of storage on your doors, but it's all pretty it's pretty minimal on the storage. You don't have a little storage right here. The console isn't the biggest, but it's not too small. Again, this is a lived-in car, so I haven't ran out of room, but it's not just gobs of it. So I do like how nice and deep the gauge cluster is set inside of here. I never have any issues with sun glare. I really like the way that this is all brushed aluminum look with the red accents to match the rest of the car. Here's my catback exhaust. It'll let you rev it to 5.5. The true red line is about 6,800 on this thing. And so we'll have these accent lights inside of here. Let's see if we can get it dark enough. Red accent lighting. There'll be red accent lighting inside of here, another red trim here, one that runs across the dash. It'll have red lights inside of here, and this is a red accent trim. Let's pop the hood. I'll let y'all see what the hood looks like. And this is on the Accord chassis. So the trunk is nearly identical to the Accord. It does hold itself up, and you have a big fat V6, a cold air induction system from factory, pushes a lot of cold fresh air straight in from the grill up into the air intake. Nice and tidy. I like all the how everything is in place. There's not too much plastic covering, and there's also not too much exposed stuff. The actual chassis inside of here does have paint on it, so that eliminates a bunch of rust issues that you're going to get on lesser cars. And you do have a strut tower brace from the factory. Again, for the air induction, this seal will match up against this. And guess what, guys? Pearl coat. All right, let's get to the driving portion. And oh, sunroof as well. It does have the tilt or the fully open. But let's jump to the driving portion and finish up this video. Okay, so first things first, y'all guys are sitting shotgun in the passenger seat of this vehicle, and I just want y'all to know the only thing I've done to this is a catback exhaust. No tune, no intake, no nothing. So all this noise that you'll hear, as well as the crackling and gurgling, that's only a catback exhaust. When you put a really free-flowing exhaust on this 3.5 V6, whether it's this or an Accord, they just crackle and burble like crazy. It's not really obnoxious inside of this Acura because it's really well sound dampened. I'm not sure how it is on the Accord. All right, so as y'all are sitting there in the passenger seat, let's talk about throttle response on this thing. I'm gonna put it down into second gear. There's no turbo lag. It's phenomenal. I love the throttle response on this car. It gets torque nice and low. It holds the power all the way to redline, and because of this 9-speed transmission, you never get out of your power band. The transmission can be a little bit sluggish when you're babying it. I think that's intentional to try and smooth it out, because whenever you go all the way up to redline, it jumps into the next gear nice and quick. It's a very deceptively fast car based on the spec sheet. It's faster than it should be, and it probably feels faster than it really is because of that throttle response. But I'm gonna sling this thing through some corners and let y'all see, well, y'all can't see, but explain to y'all what the feeling of that rear end drive, that all-wheel steering is like. It has multiple drive modes. So we have economy. I probably use this twice. Normal, I use that for like the first week when I got the car. Then you have a sport mode, which improves the throttle response. It changes the shift points a little bit, and it holds gears longer, keeps you higher in the RPM range, easier. Like, I just barely touch the gas and it's dropping gears on me. And then the way I always drive this car is in Sport Plus. And that is where, when you leave it in Sport Plus, it's a track mode essentially. It'll hold a gear as long as it can. It'll drop a gear only when you're all the way off of the gas. If you're in the gas even a little bit, it'll hold you in that gear. As you brake, you hear it dropping gears. It's a fully automatic track mode for you, but on the Sport Plus, if you use your paddle shifters, it will never revert back to the automatic unless you hit drive again. So for instance, if I mess with my paddle shifter, I'm in 6th gear now, and it won't force you out of the gear until you go all the way up to red line, then it will push you into the next gear. It won't let you just slap the heck out of the red line, but it will let you get all the way up to red line before shifting. Also, if you're in a gear, it will only downshift if you are going below. See, it went down to 5th gear out of 6th gear because I was going too low on my RPMs. But also, another good thing is Sport Plus is, oddly enough, a fantastic way to increase your fuel mileage if you want to. This does have cylinder deactivation. Not a fan of it. Sport Plus disables cylinder deactivation. But whenever you're in a gear, it will lock you into that gear, again, unless you go too low on your RPMs, which is about 1,000, or you hit the red line and it needs to go into the next gear. Otherwise, for instance, I'm going 55 miles an hour in gear 8 at about just a little under 1.5 thousand RPMs. I'll put my foot on the floor right now. It stays in 8th gear. So if you're on the highway and you want to do a nice smooth pass and you want to give it a little gas, but you don't really need this car to drop a couple of gears and put you back in your seat to make that pass, you can do that. And also, if you have sloping up and downhill sections, you can leave it stuck in the gear so you don't have that constant upshift, downshift of going through rolling hills. You can, do your own throttle and gear management. So let's give her a little sling here. Torque vectoring, all-wheel steering. She won't force you out of a corner. Now you can overdrive the car. You can overdrive any car, but this thing sticks. And you can give it full throttle through a corner. And it does a fantastic job of letting you have just a little bit of slip without letting it completely slide and plow through a corner. Love the way this thing drives around the corners. It's not a drag car. It's not just the fastest in a straight line, but when you get this thing sunk down around a corner, love it. One of the best cornering front wheel drive cars. Actually, this is the best front wheel drive cars I've driven around a corner. The only thing that's going to really compete is going to be something that's like an ultralight, like maybe a Type R or something like that, it makes up for the lack of the all-wheel steering that this has by way of being much lighter and 100% track focused, versus this is, it's a luxury sport car. So you have the increased weight and size of it being a luxurious sports car. It is on the Accord chassis. This one is the 19 and the 20, the 21 models go to a completely different chassis. It no longer shares the chassis with the Accord and the 21. And also the A-Spec version, the 21, goes down to the 2-liter turbo, but it's heavier. And the Type S has more power, but it's significantly more expensive. So if you want a TLX, don't discount the 19s and the 20 Type A-Spec, because as far as speed goes, this sits between the new A-Spec and the Type S. So basically it's the 2021 A-Spec, and then this one, the 2019 and 2020 A-Spec, is a little bit faster, and then to get faster you can go up to your Type S in the 2021. So we're at a slight uphill right there. Again, it's not a drag racer. It is plenty fast for 4-door in this price point. Today you can get 19s and 20s, 2019, 2020 Acura A-Spec tech package just like this for in the 30 to 34.5 range in my area, the Texas and Louisiana area. But let's mess with the throttle response and then we'll let it roll out through some gears. Once you get into the power in first gear, the remaining 8 gears, if your foot is all the way on the gas, you're in your power band the whole time. It's just a spectacular driving vehicle. The steering wheel controls are awesome. I actually forget where my volume knob is right here because I never use it, because instead of a button like a click, 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 click one at a time like you get in most other cars, including the Honda Accord, the sibling of this vehicle, you actually get a nice scroll wheel with it. Also will let you push left on the scroll wheel or right to skip through your favorites, or you can click it in to mute. Same with your info over here. Get tire pressure gauge, fuel mileage, etc. Your cruise control, your adaptive cruise control with lane keep assist right here. The distance on your adaptive cruise control set right here. You can click and make voice calls. You can also set your speed on your cruise control. You can change your trip. It's all right here. And it's all the very, very frequently used buttons. They're nice and laid out. They're nice and evenly laid out. The steering wheel looks even on both sides, but it's not overly buttony. Like, I don't have my air conditioning controls on here. I don't have any other sort of, menu settings in here. That's done on the main console. So this is very driver focused. You're going to use your phone, you're going to use your cruise, you're going to use your volume and your stereo, and everything else is controlled through your main controls over here. Your traction control, your parking sensors, your lane keep assists, on and off, as well as your front collision avoidance toggles are all over here on the left-hand side by your knee. I like them there. They're out of the way. Those are settings that you usually set it and forget it, so they don't really need to be in your face on the steering wheel. And I like that they're over there because that helps in decluttering your main controls over here. You have two different save settings for driver 1 and driver 2. You set your seating position, and also the key fobs are numbered 1 and 2. So depending on whose key fob or which key fob, like for instance, I'll have key fob 1, my wife uses key fob number 2, and it will remember key fob 1 goes to seat setting 1, key fob 2 goes to seat setting 2. It's easy to set. You just set it, click the set button and click the number 1 and number 2, and it is set. I love the way this thing goes. It is spectacular, especially for the price you can get these at right now. Let's go find a parking garage and listen to this thing pop a little bit. On the back and the front, it does have the auto down and also the auto up. So auto up, auto down, front and rear. There's a GT350, nice. You can really feel that back end scoot around whenever you give it a good amount of steering input and a little bit of gas. You can really feel it counter steer the rear end to swing it around.
If you want to know more about what we're doing, go on and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a future review from us. Hit that like button if you like this content and want to see more as well. If you want to see some behind the scenes footage of what we're shooting next, or just where we're going and what we're doing, go find us on Facebook and Instagram, both at GT Garage Talk. And you can go to gtgaragetalk.com to listen to our podcast, where we talk to people from throughout the automotive industry and like to share stories with people with all kinds of crazy automotive histories. But until next time, bye.